Welcome back. The looming Iran conflict is poised to redefine warfare itself. Unlike traditional battles that just use tanks and missiles, this war will unfold substantially in cyberspace. Cyber attacks will target drones, command systems, and critical infrastructure. Think power grids and water supplies. We've seen glimpses of this in Ukraine, where hacked drones turned the tide. Yet the world barely registered the implications of this. Iran's cyber prowess signals a landmark shift, setting the stage for future conflicts that could also involve global powers like China and Russia. The stakes? Unprecedented civilian vulnerability. When utilities fail or airline systems are hijacked, innocent lives are at risk everywhere. President Trump seeks peace. Cyber wars show us how important that is to achieve. To discuss, we're joined by Dr. Eric Cole, a former CIA hacker and currently the CEO of Secure Anchor. He's an AI trailblazer who built systems to catch terrorists and joins us now. So what do you think about Iran's cyber offensive capabilities?
They're one of the top tier players when it comes to cyber warfare. When you go in and look at cyber warfare, you have China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. They have spent the last 10 years not investing in physical weapons, nuclear bombs. They've been investing all their energy in cyber weapons to be able to take down or cause mass havoc via cyber attacks.
How do you think an enemy would attack the United States in the cybersphere?
They would attack us in what we call the soft targets. Soft targets are areas that you think would be secure, but they're not. For example, our water, our electricity, our transportation, all of those things run on computers, but these are computers that were built in the 70s and 80s. They haven't been updated. They're very, very reliable. They work really well, but they don't have a lot of security measures in place. And one of the things that scares me the most is Iran is already taking down their access to the internet. And when you prepare for war, you're going to block access and start targeting other adversaries. So they have the means, the methods to launch cyber attacks against the U.S. or other foreign adversaries.
Given some of those precursory steps that you've seen, do you believe right now Iran is in the planning or execution stages of cyber attacks against the United States?
Absolutely. I wish this wasn't the truth, but I believe within the next 30 days, you're going to see a massive cyber attack. All of the indications are there. Everyone's ganging up on Iran. You're seeing a lot of tension building, and they cannot compete on the military front. On the physical front, with airplanes, weapons, there's no way they can compete with the United States and Israel. But on cyber, they are very, very advanced. Remember, Stuxnet, where it attacked their nuclear reactors, yes, they were a victim, but when you're a victim of a cyber attack, you also get access to all the code. So they actually have all the code that was used to break into their nuclear reactor. They now took that and they can use that against us to break into our nuclear reactors.
That's a very stark warning, especially someone with your experience with the CIA. What would you advise the United States do to prepare for the cyber attack you think we'll see in the next 30 days?
To me, we really need to step up our operations. And I know this sounds crazy, but actually maybe learn a lesson from Iran and start controlling and limiting what traffic is coming into the United States and out of the United States, just like we do with our borders. We locked down our borders. When we had a concern about immigration, we locked down our borders. We limited who could come in and who could come out of the country. If we're concerned that there's a cyber attack, we should limit the number of packets that are coming in and coming out of the country. We have to regulate packets just like we do everything else, because packets are basically the weapons that can harm us and cause damage to our country.
I am worried about the number of operatives sympathetic to Iran who got across our border when it was wide open these last 4 years. Talk to us about how an operative on the ground could lash to a cyber offensive mission to supercharge the capability and bring more devastation on us.
You brought up a very critical point, which is cyber attacks do not need a lot of money. They just need smart people. And unfortunately, there's a lot of really, really smart people that don't like the United States. So it's not like you need hundreds of millions of dollars to build a nuclear weapon. If you have 3 or 4 really smart people and they spend 3 or 4 months, they can write code that could exploit or break in or interrupt transportation or others. Just think of what's happening already in Newark airports, where there's all these issues with air traffic control and planes being delayed. And that was just because the system was being overloaded.
Sure.
Imagine if somebody who doesn't like the United States put a little more pressure on that system, sent a little more packets, or a little more information. Think of the impact that could have, that could basically crash or take down that entire transportation system.
In a normal time, one of the benefits of cyber attacks for the attacker is that there is some degree of deniability. Here, because Iran is at war with Israel, they think they're at war with the United States. Do you think that a cyber attack from Iran would necessarily be claimed, or are you expecting possibly something terrible happens in Israel or the United States and it's denied or attributed to some proxy force?
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems is in cyberspace, it's very hard to know the origin of an attack. There's, I won't get too technical, but there's a lot of different ways you can do pivot points and access. So when you're doing cyber attacks, they're anonymous. You will have no way to really know who they came from. So it's really this wild, wild west where anybody can launch a cyber attack and anybody who wants can claim credit for it. There's really no way to trace back who really did it. It's not like in a physical crime where you can trace back to a bullet. With packets, you don't really know where they came from.
Very different than missiles. Dr. Eric Cole,
Yes.
Thank you for coming on. I sincerely hope that your prediction of an attack against the United States in the next 30 days is not true, but if so, we should definitely be ready. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your views.
Thank you.